Welcome to Behind the Grind, an entrepreneur think tank where we sit down with entrepreneurs and high-performing individuals to talk about their journey. My name is Jimmy O'Donovan, and I'm sitting here with my co-host, Tucker Massey.
What's up, everyone? So as always, Behind the Grind is sponsored by Long Hollow Creatives, a boutique co-working and co-op studio space located at 700 North Gillimard Street in Pensacola, Florida. Today we are interviewing Basil Kuloba. He is the Digital Product and System Analyst for Studer Education, the Executive Director for Inertia Education, which is a Florida non-for-profit aimed at increasing student success in Escambia County. And he's also the Vice President of Economic Development and Governmental Affairs for Pensacola Young Professionals.
That's right.
Basil, how are you doing today?
Wonderful.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on and sitting with us.
Yeah.
Take number 3.
Yeah.
Almost number 4 right there.
Rough morning. Tucker hasn't had enough coffee.
I'm getting it in there.
But yeah, man, thank you so much. There's a story to be heard, I know, with you, so let's dive into it.
Give us a
Start
little
off
background.
with a little bit of a background where you started, and I know parents are from
Kenya.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so-
there's
My parents immigrated here from Kenya, my dad in 96, and then the rest of our family came here in 1997. And I came here when I was a little bit below a year old, so I've been in Pensacola basically my entire life. But I add that to my story because I do think it's such an important part of being a first generation immigrant and kind of what that means for you growing up here. You kind of live in two worlds. So you live in the new country in the United States of America, but also your parents were raised in a different country, so they raised you with a lot of those values and a lot of those thought processes. So it's like a mix and a blend of both of those worlds. I grew up here in Pensacola, like I said. Went to Pensacola Christian Academy my entire life, and then when I graduated from there, I went to Pensacola State, got a 2-year degree in computer science, then transferred to the University of West Florida, where I completed my degree in August of 2019 in information technology, so IT and computer science. After that, started working at Studer Education as a digital product and systems analyst, which is where I'm at right now. And in that role, I serve as, like I said, that digital product, so apps, websites, different products that we'll be creating. Some that have not been released yet, but some that we're working on. And then on the system side, I help manage our marketing and sales pipelines, like Salesforce, Pardot, and different tools like that.
Nice.
cool. All right, so Studer, and then we have Inertia as well.
Which I've seen a lot of Inertia. I've heard a lot about Inertia, but I haven't really gotten a nice background on it. So that would be awesome if you gave us that.
So Inertia is a nonprofit that I started in my junior year of school at UWF with two of my good friends, Marcus Jackson and Carson Wilbur. And really, it was really an organic experience of how it started out. Originally, Marcus and I had chartered a chapter of the National Society of Black Engineers at UWF, and we were looking for some form of community service we could do. Whether we could spend time with some schools, or there's just like going out and cleaning up an area in Pensacola as a group. But we really fell on wanting to inspire kids to become scientists, the same way we were inspired to be scientists when we were younger. Because all of us in the room could point back to a moment where we knew this is what we wanted to do for the rest of our lives. And it was a teacher, it was a mentor, it was a friend, somebody who showed us how cool science was that made us want to do it.
And what was your that aha moment?
For me, it was in 6th grade.
Okay.
So up until 6th grade, I was really, really bad at math. Like, I used to get D's and F's on my tests. And it was not normal for my family for people to be failing math. My older siblings were incredibly good at math and science, but for some reason, I just couldn't get it. But my 6th grade year, I had a teacher who was just really fun and really engaging when he taught. I mean, to this day, I still remember some of his lessons vividly because of the way he taught them. Like the Battle of Yorktown for the Revolutionary War, he dressed up like George Washington, like he had a ruler, and he was like fighting in front of the classroom.
That's
you
awesome.
can't forget stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he brought that to the math and science classes as well. And that year I started excelling in my math and science classes. So that year I was like, I knew I could do it at least. And then 9th grade I had another teacher, Mr. Vernaha, who he was like Bill and I, the science guy type of person. Like he always had some fun little gadget or some little like toy that helped illustrate the principle he was teaching in science.
Yeah.
And that was a year I knew I definitely wanted to do something as a strict scientist. So that was the year I decided I knew I was going to go to college to study something in science and ended up being computer science.
Awesome.
So those were two moments for me that really made me want to become a scientist one day, and we wanted to give that opportunity to other kids as well. So we started going to Oakcrest and Ensley Elementary here in Escambia County, and we initially planned on going just for 1 week, just to see how it would go and maybe come back the next semester. But before we were done, the teacher's like, okay, when are you coming back? So we're like, oh, so you guys want us back?
Right.
Okay.
So
this is something you all want. So we
Yeah.
thought, all right, let's figure out how we can do this. So we went back to the drawing board. We recruited a team of people that could help us out with this project. And from then on, we've just been going to more schools, still working at Oakcrest and Ensley. And in the past 2 years, we've over doubled, tripled the size of our program. So on day one, I believe we had about like 25 to 30 kids. And this year total, we're looking at about 500 to 750 kids we've worked with.
That's
in
amazing.
the past year. So, and the number can vary because some of the kids come to multiple of our programs.
Gotcha.
So we'll do it at a school, then we also work with kids at the community centers. So some of those kids are duplicates, some of those kids are new. It just matters where we get to touch that life there.
Yeah, awesome.
What made you choose the name Inertia? Where did that come from?
The name Inertia came from a night, actually I was working on a physics paper, and we were trying to come up with a name for it, and inertia is a property that means an object at rest or object in motion will stay in that state unless acted upon by an outside force.
Right.
So a lot of these kids, they're not in motion right now. They don't believe they're good at science, they don't believe that they're good at math, but we want to be that outside force. We want to be the people that come alongside them and say, hey, you can do this. This is something that you can be great at if you put in that
That's
that
a
effort.
great name.
Yeah,
Wow.
great
That's
meaning
awesome.
to it.
Yeah. And so I see Inertia's mission, every child should be given the opportunity to achieve their full potential. And then on the website it goes on to state, when we work together to invest in our youth, we can be sure Escambia County will continue to grow and become Florida's leading county in student success. Do you ever envision Inertia going outside of Escambia County, maybe going nationwide in the future, or how do you approach growing Inertia?
Yeah, I would love to see inertia in every school that needs it. We currently work in Escambia County. We're focused on Escambia County right now because this is our home.
Right.
We want to make sure that we can get our home to the place where we want it to be, which is excelling above and beyond expectations in math and science. But it's something that could be used in other places as well. So we've had people contact us and say that they want to start something similar to what we've got going on here, and we've helped them. We're not at the place where we can expand, but we're more than happy to help other people start programs similar to what we do.
Gotcha. Did you have to research a lot for the tools and fundamentals that you use to help these children succeed, or how did you create sort of the programming for Inertia?
The programming that we do through Inertia is led mostly by Carson Wilbur.
Okay.
And Carson has a lot of experience, even though he's young. He's a year younger than me, so 21, 22 years old. He's been teaching in science centers across the Emerald Coast for the past 6-7 years since he was 16. So he does have a lot of experience with it, even at his young age. And he's the one that led a lot of those lessons and the creation of them. And all of our lessons are hands-on, fun science, like I said. So
building out the science guy.
exactly. Diet Coke and Mentos, baking soda and vinegar. We teach them about aerodynamics, using paper airplanes. And then to help bring it home, we'll have like a pilot. So this past semester we had a Navy pilot from Whiting Field. She came out and now they got to see a pilot. They got to see those principles of that paper airplane that they made turn into something that is used to defend our country and something she loves to do. And she was from the area as well. And she had gone to that school, I believe, Ensley Elementary, whenever she was younger.
Nice.
So it was great to bring her back and showcase that.
When, when did you know that nonprofit was where you wanted to go, and then with that, helping kids?
Yeah, so we didn't initially think of the nonprofit route. That came through some mentors I had through the Center for Entrepreneurship at EWF.
Okay.
Initially, we were just, like I said, doing this as a 1 week thing. We were just gonna get some supplies, do 1 week of it. But as we started expanding, we started looking at options for what we could do to grow this. And one of those was to get funding. To get funding, you need that 501c3 designation from the IRS. And they really helped guide us through that. So how do we take this idea and form it into a business that's something that's more sustainable than just, a group of guys going out to a school?
Talk about the process of, creating that non-for-profit and how the Center for Entrepreneurship helped you with that?
Yeah, the Center for Entrepreneurship is a great resource, not only for students, but also for members of the community who are interested in starting a business, don't really know where to start. Maybe they have an idea and they just need somebody to help clean it up, or a fresh pair of eyes that can help show what could this product really turn into. And that's what I really feel that they did for us, was help refine our idea and help us focus as well. So I met Dr. Ranelli that summer. I had worked at the Institute for Human and Machine Cognition, IHMC,
Okay. Yeah.
and he came through for a meeting that he was having with some other local leaders, and we got connected, and I told him a little bit about what we were doing. He said, just come by our office, and you'll meet with Jim Sparks and myself, and we'll talk through what that process looks like. So they didn't have all the answers for me that day, but one thing that they're great about is if they don't have the answers, they will help connect you with somebody who does have the answers. So they connected me with a lawyer here in town, Stephen Moorhead from Moorhead Law Group, and they connected us with a CPA that Mr. Moorhead was connected with as well. And from there, they helped us file our paperwork with the state, so getting that corporation started, your nonprofit designation through the state, and then after that, our CPA helped us. Her name is Miss Gail Dorsey. She helped us to get our 1023, which is the form you have to fill with the IRS.
That must have been such a help having them, because starting a business can be difficult, but starting a non-for-profit, that has to be just like a whole nother leap in itself.
Right. So it's a very, very difficult process to go through by yourself the first time if you don't know what you're
Especially when you're in college and you have other stuff to worry about.
Right.
That's
You got classes to go to. And all
Right.
that, so it was great to have them alongside to help coach you. Our application was accepted on the first time, which never happens with
Really?
the nonprofits. So even our CPA was surprised that we got accepted on the first time. But
Why do you think that was? Why do you think that happened?
Oh God.
Just pure luck.
Right time, right place.
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
What were some of the first failures you and your co-founders first had when starting Inertia? And how did you get around them?
Yeah. Thankfully, we didn't have any catastrophic failures from when we started. I think a lot of that goes to the dedication of the team and the people we were able to recruit to work with us. I think the biggest failures that we faced was clearly defining who does what.
Mm.
I think that's what ended up happening with us. A lot of the failures that we had in the beginning were because of that. I thought he was doing it, he thought I was doing it.
Right.
Ended up nobody did it, yeah. So there was a lot of ambiguity on what our roles were, what needed to get done. And also we didn't gauge correctly at the beginning how much enthusiasm there would be behind our program. So
How much support from the community and how much positive feedback.
Right.
Okay.
We knew it would be something that would work.
Yeah.
But I think other people saw more in it than we saw in it initially. The first day at
Like
Oakcrest,
those teachers coming back to
Right.
you, hey, when you guys
exactly.
doing this again.
So the first time we met with those teachers, they told us, hey, just so you know, what normally happens is you have a few kids that will come to the first program and then they'll go tell their friends, and then the next time you're going to have more kids. So we said, okay, we'll probably double in size or something. I think the first day at Oakcrest we had 10 to 12 students, and then the second day we had 55. And if you've ever worked with elementary kids, 12 can be a tough bunch sometimes.
It's
and
not
you
easy.
jump to 55. It was a massive increase that we were not ready for. The first day, Carson walked in. He's like, "Okay, I can handle this 12 kids." And the second day it was 55, and I was just I don't remember where I was, but he called me. He's like, "There are 55 kids in here. Can you come help me?" I was like, "I'm on my way." So things like that we just didn't really account for, and we didn't know to plan for, caused some failures. But with failures, you just gotta roll with it. So you can get defeated, and you can say, "Oh man," you can just stress out and kind of close down, or you can jump in and you can make the best of it, and that's what we ended up doing. So now we know when we go to new schools, okay, we're going to start off with this amount. The second time, it probably is going to be a really big jump, and that has been a trend that we notice happening.
Gotcha. So you've positioned yourself as an employee at Student Education. You have this nonprofit that also deals with education, and then you're also the vice president of economic development and governmental affairs for PYP, Pensacola Young Professionals. Are you able to sort of mold those three jobs together and use them to your advantage for each separate one?
Yeah, I do, and that's a really good question. Especially here recently, I can speak to that. My role at Student Education, if you're familiar, the superintendent process in Escambia County is going to be changing here very soon. We've normally had an elected superintendent, but now we're going to have an appointed superintendent, which aligns with most of the country and how they view that process, because you can pick someone from anywhere. It's just about who's the most qualified for the position. So it could be someone from Escambia County, or it could be somebody from, the Northeast or the Northwest who has experience dealing with a county like ours. We can bring that experience down here. So at Student Education, we have several superintendents. Some of the highest performing superintendents in the country that work with us as consultants and coaches. And then we also coach some of the best superintendents in the country. So we had the opportunity to bring those superintendents here to Pensacola, and we had them on the stage at the panel, and it was completely open to the public. And people came to hear from these superintendents, what should we be looking for as a community in our superintendent? What type of personality traits should we be looking for? What type of drive, what type of experience should they have? And I was able to play an integral part of that because of my position there. But then also outside of that, now I get to be a part of that action phase of it, because of PYP, being Economic Development and Governmental Affairs, I help to educate our community on what's going on. So I have access to those superintendents. I can get additional feedback from them. And now I get to share that with the community. So now we have created like a series of panels through Pensacola Young Professionals where we're going to be doing that. We're going to be educating the public more and more about what can we do to get our superintendent to come, a superintendent to come here and feel like they can make an effective change here for the kids of our county. So my experience both at Student Education and in PYP, and then also what I know from being in the school system as a nonprofit working with the students, I can kind of speak to
experience.
Right,
I'm sure.
Speak to the needs of what these students have. Talk to teachers because I have access to them. So it's really cool how all three of those roles blend together and help make Pensacola a better place.
What do you think the biggest disconnect between the education system and the kids are these days? Dealing with the, not talking high school, middle school, but, more age range that you guys help, a day-to-day basis. Where do you think, again, a disconnect, the lack of maybe supplies, or even if it's the lack of drive, where?
I think we've made some really good progress here recently.
Yeah.
With Governor DeSantis saying that he'd like to increase the starting salary of teachers to $48,000 a year. I think we have people out there who make great teachers and would love to be in a classroom. It just does not make sense for them economically, because they just don't get paid what they deserve,
right,
quite honestly. And it's a lot of work that they're being asked to do, and it's a job that requires very talented people to do it. And talent is not going to that space to become teachers because it's just not, it doesn't make sense for them to do it. So I think us putting in, as a society and as a community, putting more emphasis on education and giving it the resources that it needs, whether it's funding, things that are required to attract talent to it.
Yeah.
I think that's where we're seeing the biggest issues. There are additional issues, like family life, personal issues people face, but I personally believe that if you have the right individuals there, you can make a positive change there. So I think we need to make becoming a teacher make more sense for individuals. So one of the things that we do at Student Education as well is we have what's called the Teacher Ready program, and the Teacher Ready program is a certification process that they can go on. As long as you have a bachelor's degree and you have above like a 2.5, you can apply to this program and you can learn how to become a teacher. But fewer and fewer people are applying to programs like that because, like I said, becoming a teacher doesn't make economic sense for them. And that's the trends that we're seeing there. Like, our program's doing great because Teacher Ready is an awesome program, and it's one of the best programs in the country, but they're seeing fewer and fewer people who want to become teachers.
It's sad because you hear that story, nationwide,
right?
No matter where you're at.
And you hear teachers say it.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard a student say, I want to be a teacher one day, and the teacher will say, why do you want to do that?
Right.
And that's not a good place to be in education.
No,
so.
that's not a good answer at all. So let's go back to Pensacola Young Professionals. For those that don't know what that group is, can you give a little description?
Yeah, so absolutely. Pensacola Young Professionals, our mission is to be a catalyst for positive change in the community. We gather together with people from 18 to 40 who want to get involved in different facets of the community. So in my role, I'm in economic development, governmental affairs, but then there's other roles like marketing, networking. We have different events with people around the community who are, they're influential and they can help guide us along, and they can help put us in places where we feel like we can make positive change in the community. So one of those is just having that sort of friendship within ourselves and being around other people who care about Pensacola, who love the city and want to make it a better place, and then we can be part of that positive change. So we have like panels, we have where people can access their local elected leaders and ask them questions. Around election time, we also have like forums where they come and present their platforms, so we can learn from them what they would like to do, and we get to tell them what we would like to see. So it's just a really great community of young professionals, people, like I said, from 18 to 40, who want to be together with different people and make Pensacola a better place.
Awesome.
Definitely those that are driving this, the new and next generation of a successful and profitable growing Pensacola.
Right, and we've been behind several of the big changes that have happened in Pensacola. So the original forming of Pensacola Young Professionals helped to lead to the Maritime Park as it is today. So they helped get that across the finish line. And then also the superintendents switching from the elected to the appointed, PYP was also involved with that. So it's a great place for young professionals to have their voice be heard and be with other young professionals who are like-minded and want to make, like I said, this a better place to live.
Awesome. So what's excuse me, what's the next step for you? With Inertia, you have this quote-unquote, you have this 9 to 5, you have the side hustle. At what point are you going to make the jump? Are you going to make the jump? Do you see yourself staying with student education?
Yeah.
You get a lot going on right now.
Big life questions.
I know. Yeah, I really, really love everything I do.
Yeah.
I love my day job. I love my 9 to 5. I love being a part of Inertia. And if I had to stay at student education for another 30 years, I think I'd be very happy with that. If I had to stay with Inertia for another 30 years, I'd be really happy with that. Yeah. I mean, it's a tough question to answer, quite honestly, because I do really like everything I do. But like I said, at some point I'm gonna have to make a decision about what the future looks like. But I'm really happy with where I'm at right now.
Okay, and I know Tucker kind of mentioned it earlier, so it's scaling Inertia to the surrounding counties, and then regionally, and then from there nationwide. Okay.
Yeah, so I would love to see Inertia scale. I don't know if I'm the person to do that, but I would love to see this program become even bigger than what it is right now. So we're in Escambia right now, and our growth in the past year has been rapid. I mean, in the past year, students-wise, it's been I think like 650% or something. The amount of support we've gotten to the community has been in the thousands of percent increase from our first year to our second year to our third year.
Yeah.
So if you look at our rate of growth in a normal startup, this is astronomical growth that we're having right now. Yeah. And we're just in Escambia County. Right. So the need is clearly there, and people want this type of program. So we have to figure out how can we get this to the people who want it and need it. And that's really the stage we're at right now. We've got our mentors that are helping us work through that. And then once we have a better picture of what that looks like, then I feel like we can make a decision about what those next steps are for us. But right now, the schools we're working with, we love working with them right now, and we're happy with where we're at. We also don't want to try to grow too quickly and then reduce the quality of our program, because what we are trying to do is help make education better and not just have more students. So the students we work with, we want to see them progress and make impactful change in their lives. So the students we work with now on their FSA testing, which is the standardized test that they take each year to benchmark their progress. On average, our students are scoring 15% better on that exam. And on 5th grade science, which is the benchmark for future success in math and science, they're scoring 33%. And normally a 4 to 5% change or advantage is huge. But worst looking at double digits of 15 and 33%.
So you're definitely doing something right.
Something's happening right.
It sounds like someone needs to pick you guys up and start to scale this and put it out there, because I mean, if you're making that big of a change in the community, I mean, you know, who knows like what you could do if you got the right funding behind it, the right donations, all of that.
Right.
That would be. And how old are you?
23.
23. Man, absolutely. I mean, I'm only 25, but you are absolutely killing it. Yeah. What's one of the biggest things you've learned in this, you know, what, maybe 4-year progress of starting Inertia? Is that how long it's been?
2.5 now.
2.5.
Tucker's not the math guy. Sorry.
No, I'm the social media guy. So
Okay.
you see all the awesome social media posts. You're welcome.
Nice. Remind me your question? Sorry.
What's one of the biggest things you've learned in this 2.5-year process of founding Inertia? Could be
That's a good
on the
question,
business side or personal.
I would say you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. I think that's
100%,
one of the things I've definitely learned is when you start feeling really comfortable and you start feeling like everything's good and okay, like something's probably wrong.
Yeah.
That's what I've realized. It's like you're not paying enough attention to something, especially in the early stages of a startup. There's usually something that's not going right, just the nature of it being a startup, and you need to be continually growing and looking for those areas that are going to make you uncomfortable. For me, just here recently, we started doing like a fundraiser to close at the end of the year, and we've been asking for money from people. So asking for money is not something that like
I find that super uncomfortable.
yeah, it's super uncomfortable,
I don't like
you know.
Yeah.
But I remember early in the process when we started asking for money from people, like I said, like money is one of those things you don't talk about with people.
Yeah.
Money, politics, religion, you don't talk about it. So now you're asking people for money, and it's because you know they have money to give or they want to give to that program. And I remember one of my mentors, he's somebody that's I'm really close with, so it wasn't awkward, and we have conversations like this all the time. And I was asking him, and then he just like stopped. It's like, look, this is how you ask somebody for money.
Let's say,
Yeah.
what was that process like of learning to get comfortable? Because that's, like we just mentioned, like that's not a fun thing to do.
Yeah, so like us having that conversation, it's not comfortable at all. It's almost like cringeworthy, like someone's like telling you this is how you need to ask me for a donation. But without that experience, I would not be able to do that now.
Right.
You know, so I need to go through that uncomfortable stage of learning how to do it so that I can do it in the future. And even though it is uncomfortable, if you really believe in your mission and your vision of your company, whether it's a nonprofit or a for-profit, you really just have to do what you need to do to make that succeed. So you need to look for those areas of discomfort and do what you need to do to work through it. So find a mentor, find a friend who can help coach you through it, who can help you understand it and help you get better at it. I liken it, I played a lot of sports growing up. Whenever when I was trying to learn how to dunk, like it's really painful to do all those squats and do all those calf raises, and you go up there and you try to dunk the ball and you keep on missing. And like I used to practice in my front yard, and for a while like I would go up there and I would practice, and I ended up like hurting my shoulder because I was like hitting the rim every single time, but it hurt. But that's how I was able to do it eventually. Yeah. You just gotta keep doing those reps. You gotta keep on practicing, keep practicing, and then one day it'll be easy. Right. It's just natural for you. So
unless you're 7'3" like Jimmy, then you can you don't even have to jump.
Right. Just put your hands up.
Lost.
So when you were talking about your mentor telling you how to ask people for money, put yourself in the shoes of someone that is starting a business for profit, and they have to approach investors for maybe $100,000 that they don't have, and they're looking for an investor to come in and be a partner. How would you approach them and ask them for money?
I think it's really important to have a relationship with those people first. If you're approaching somebody and asking them for money, you're probably not the first person to do it, and you're probably not going to be the last.
That's a good point.
So you should form a relationship with that person, get to know them first before you ask them for money. That's my process. I know other people believe differently, but
I like that.
I believe like you should build a relationship with somebody and do it genuinely.
Right.
Don't just do it just because you want money from them, because people are really good at feeling that out.
Yeah.
So genuinely take an interest in that person first, and learn from them, and they may offer that money before you even need to ask them for it. That's happened to us before. But I believe there's some important things that you need to have as a company. First, you need to have your data together. So we're living in a data-driven society. So any investor, any leader is going to want to know what are the numbers behind what you're doing, and know if you've done even your basic research. So it could be just like, what does the market look like? What could you possibly get of that market share? What would my return be on, like, if you had 6% market share? So that data is really important. The mission of your company is going to be really, really important. That's probably what they're going to connect with, is the mission and the vision that you have. So for us, we want to make Escambia County a better place for everyone to live and learn and elevate our community through education. So a lot of education advocates in our community, they latch on to that mission. And our vision's very easy. Like, every student should be able to reach their full potential. Like that should be an obvious thing,
Yeah.
But we really believe that, and it should come through in your pitch, and it should come through in your actions, that you are actually trying to do these things. And then have some like story, some type of anecdote maybe that can help connect all three of those things, so the data, the mission, and the vision together in a way that presents the whole picture to the individual. And if they believe in all three of those things, I think that $100,000 check becomes a whole lot easier to write out.
That's a great answer.
Switching back to nonprofit, and so Inertia is very focused on science. What are other? Because I know there are a lot of people in the community that want to help, want to own or open up their own nonprofit. But there are also a few that all do the same thing. Where do you think the community is lacking, or some voids in nonprofit that need to be filled? So to complement everybody else that's already out there.
Yeah, I mean, there's several education nonprofits here in the area. I think we're all. I was on a panel with a few of them about a month and a half ago, and the thing is that we all work very collaboratively.
Right.
So I met with my junior achievement, and we bounced ideas off of each other. Illy Hossman there, eCare, Every Child a Reader, Every Child a Reader, Escambia. They do a great job doing similar to what we do, except they're doing it with reading. We're doing it with math and science. I think if there is a void, it's in having more people active with it.
Okay.
So the support that those individual nonprofits get themselves.
Okay.
So if you are a finance individual, junior achievement will probably be a natural fit for you, because they're training students on how to manage their money from a young age, how to open up a savings account, how to get invested, or start investing in things. And Every Child a Reader, like, of course you need to be able to read. It doesn't matter what you want to do, whether you want to be a scientist or a financial investor, like, you need to know how to read, so that's important. Math and science, if you ever want to go to college, like, you still have to take your basic math and science courses. Mm-hmm. So all of them are important. It's just, I think the void for us as a nonprofit community would be having people who dedicate their time to it. Okay. So if you're a social media guy, like, maybe you can help out with the nonprofit social media, because I know it, and that might be a pitch to me,
Yeah.
We might want you to be on our social media team. So it's different things like that. Like, it could be anything. Yeah. I know even like basketball teams here in town that are run by nonprofits, so athletes could get involved in that. I think the biggest void is just really people using their talents and skills to share with others. Mm-hmm. And I think if we do that as a community, we'll see us start advancing.
So the question of the hour. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, and where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I really love Pensacola. Growing up, I felt like a lot of us, our only thought was like, when am I leaving this place?
Mm-hmm. I was right there with you. I remember when Palafox Street really only had New York Knicks,
Yep.
which isn't there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But downtown is nowhere near where it used to be.
Yeah, I mean, even my siblings left for like dental school and pharmacy school, and when they came back, I took them downtown. They didn't recognize it. They didn't know where they were. And like Christmas time, especially with the lights out, it's beautiful in downtown. My cousins came last year, and they were walking, and like I literally feel like I'm in a Hallmark movie. Right? You know, that's how it feels in Pensacola. But growing up, it never felt that way.
No.
So I really love the city. I love what's going on here, and I want to stay and be a part of it. I think at some point I'll probably go out to get some experiences so I can bring those experiences back here. I really have an interest in like international business. I think that's something that I could do from Pensacola and then just like kind of go out and do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Maybe in a different country or in a different city, like a larger city like New York or Chicago, where those type of deals happen. And then come back to Pensacola at some point to make some change. But I really do love this place, so I may never leave, honestly.
You just mentioned, your siblings and a pharmacist and a dentist.
So I have 3 older siblings. I'm the
Okay.
youngest of 4. The oldest is my sister. She's a pharmacist. She went to Florida A&M FAMU. And then my oldest brother went to Meharry Medical College, and he he got his dental degree, but then he did residency as an oral surgeon, and now he's an oral surgeon for the Navy up in Chicago.
Okay.
And then my brother right before me went to dental school in Baylor, Texas A&M, out in Texas, and now he's a dentist for the Navy as well out in Okinawa.
I think I know exactly where you're headed with this question. I hope you're heading in this direction. I'll let you go.
A lot of
ahead.
pressure.
I'll let you go.
And then what does your father do, or what was his profession?
My dad is an occupational therapist,
Okay.
so similar to a physical therapist, and my mom's a nurse practitioner.
All right, so now we have
You are the what?
nonprofit.
The odd one out.
Yeah.
How is that?
Family.
Yeah, growing up, or when you realized, okay, like the path that my entire family has taken isn't for me. How is that received by your parents? And you mentioned earlier where there's a different culture, and moving over from Kenya.
Especially with your parents being immigrants, and usually
That's not secure. That's there's no guaranteed money. Like let's talk about that a little bit, because that's certainly an elephant in the room.
My parents have always been incredibly supportive of whatever we did.
Yeah.
So whether it was like sports,
That's
or it was
awesome.
music, like my dad was always at all of our games. Like thinking back on it, I'm like, man, like that was a lot of time and money that they were spending on us, like playing these sports. But he was always there for us to watch us and support us and encourage us. When we needed to go out to practice, he was always there. He'd be out there shoot. Like I was a goalie in soccer, so he used to be out there. He would be the one firing the shots at me with my older brother, warming me up and stuff. So that was always great to have their support, and that's continued throughout my entire life. So my parents have always been supportive of us. Like they're our biggest cheerleaders, quite honestly. So you'll go places and you won't know people, but they know your dad, and you're like, they know everything about you, because our dad and our mom just like don't stop talking about us, basically, So they're really proud of us, and whatever we decide to do, they support us with it.
It's awesome to have that support.
Yeah, it's
amazing.
awesome. Like I wouldn't be where I'm at without them, that's for sure. So whenever I decided to do computer science, I think there was a little bit of anxiety about it, just because it's unfamiliar. Like everyone else is in the medical field, so we know what this path looks like. So we know like this isn't a clearer path for success. It's not easy, but it's clearer. You need to go do biology in school, get this type of GPA, go to these schools, are great places. But like it just wasn't for me. I did biology like my freshman year of college to like try it out and see if I wanted to major in it. Like I just couldn't connect with it. I did well. I got an A in the class, but I just didn't like it.
It just wasn't for you. Yeah.
And at some point you have to like look at what do you want to do with your life, and if it's being a doctor, be a doctor. But you shouldn't be a doctor because someone else wants you to do it. Because you end up being miserable. And what I wanted to do was play with computers, and I wanted to code, and I wanted to have fun and do those type of things. And I like business, because I think a lot of what happens in business is problem solving. And that's what engineering and computer science is at the end of the day. It's just problem solving in a different way. So I really wanted to be a computer scientist, so when I decided that's what I wanted to do, my parents said, go for it.
That's awesome. Yeah, because with our conversation with Michael DiMaria, you know, he's first generation Italian American, and you know, with his dad, he wanted him to, I think, go to medical school or do something, and you know, he wanted to do music and be an author. And, you know, usually as an immigrant, what we hear is, you know, like your parents want you to go to medical school.
Yeah.
So the fact that your parents had,
I'm sure they would have loved me going there.
oh yeah, I'm sure.
I'm
The
sure
fact
they
that
would
they
have loved
had
it.
complete support for you is awesome. Because, you know, Inertia wouldn't be where it's at today without their
Right.
support, I'm sure. So as we start to wrap up, where can people find Inertia, whether it's social media, the website, and how can they be connected with you guys?
So Inertia, all of our handles on Twitter, Instagram are Inertia Picola.
Okay.
So INERTIA Picola PCOLA, and then our website is inertiapensacola.org. And if you ever need to contact me, my email is Basil BASIL at inertiapensacola.org.
Do you guys have any events coming up that people can go to?
Yes. In early January, we'll be doing an event at Garden and Green, the
Okay.
event space here in downtown Pensacola.
Right behind Perfect Plan.
Yeah, we
Right.
just sat down with DC yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah. So I've been working with DC the past couple of days to get this set up.
Awesome.
We're going to be doing a Boxing Day. So Boxing Day is basically where we get all the supplies ready for that semester. We have groups of 4 when we go into the classroom, so we get all the supplies ready for them, put them in these like little boxes, like for like you take for lunch or something,
Yeah.
like meal prep, and we'll box them up to prepare for all of our spring programs. So that would be on January 19th from 1 to 5 at Garden Green.
Okay. Is that something that people have to sign up for, or can they just show up to help?
They can just show up.
Okay.
Show up.
Sweet.
Cool. So, again, thank you, Basil from Inertia.
Thank you for your time, man.
Thank you.
It was great talking to you.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.